Alrighty guys, so here we are back in Artlantis, sorry, and hopefully by now you guys are pretty much well through your model, okay? We've got our modern cabin, we've brought it into Artlantis, we've laid it up, we've applied textures, we've gone through heliodons, natural lighting, and artificial lighting, okay? So hopefully by this stage you're in your shaders and we've got our layers list with all of our materials applied. Then we've got our artificial light, and you can see I've got 4 light groups. So my kitchen, living, dining at night, my bedroom lights, my kitchen, living, dining during the day, and my exterior lights. Okay, so it's looking like this. I've got my heliodons, and you can see I've got early morning sun, midday sun, and an evening sun. Okay, so I'm getting closer and closer to the finish line, basically. Okay, so you can see I can right click on the different views I want, okay, and I can turn on the different lights, okay, quite easily. I'm going to add some exterior as well. Alright, so this is what I'm looking like currently. Okay, so not too bad. Alrighty, I'm thinking my heliodon for the evening, maybe I've got too much clouds. Yeah, okay. So I'm pretty happy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my perspectives. Remember, you can change the things here too. I'm going to just make everything nice and bright again. Okay, so I can see what I'm doing. So we briefly talked last week about using light objects, but this week I want to focus more on the other objects that are available to us. So in order to do this, let's go to the Objects Inspector. Okay, and you can see we've got our options at the top grayed out because we have no objects. Just going to close my 2D view. Alright, I'm going to open my media catalog down the bottom, and the images of pieces of furniture, so we've got furniture, a coffee cup, a lamp, television or storage units, a car, leaves, people, and houses. Okay, so if you click on those, you should see the options at the bottom appear. And there's a few different options. Okay, if you like any of these, you can use these in your SketchUp models. Okay, you don't have to use everything from SketchUp. Okie. And we've got some random other objects out here too, outdoor objects. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to add some objects. Okay, so it's the same process as with the shader. You can click and you can drag. Okay, and you guys can hopefully see that I have got, let's make this guy bigger. Alright, I have a slide now in my space. Okay, and the options at the top have become visible. So, this button here, which is the roller with the arrow, okay, this button takes you straight into the shaders. Okay, and you can apply any other textures that you want to it. So if I click on it, you can see it takes me to shaders, and then I can come here and I could make the slide red if I wanted to, and the plastic blue, or I could go old school and have one of those like horrific metal slides that always used to get so hot in the sun. Okay, and I'm just going to change my plastic maybe to a red color. Okay, so I can see that. If I want to get back to my object, I need to click on the Object Inspector again. Okay, then we've got our dimensions. Okay, so you can change the length, width, and height settings of your object. Then we've got our position. So it provides the X, Y, and Z axis for the position of the object within the model. And then we've got the rotation, okay, around the X, Y, and Z axis. All right. So if I'm looking at this object and I want to change the dimensions, you can see there are several ways I can do this. There are these pink lines with these pink cubes on the end. If I click on them, the object gets bigger and you can see the dimensions changing at the top. If I don't want to change it in proportion, what I need to do is unlink these dimensions. Okay, so I'm going to unlink them. And then you'll see that the axes change color. So I've got my red, blue, and green, just like in SketchUp. And I can make this longer and taller and wider if I want to. If I then want to constrain the proportions again, I can lock them back up. And you'll see it will move in proportion again to what you've made it. Okay. If I then want to rotate it, you can see I can rotate around the X. I'm just going to change that back to 0. I can rotate around the Y. Just like in SketchUp, you have these options. And I can rotate around the Z. Okay, so it just depends where you want your slide, in this case for me, to go. All right, we can also see that I have this green rectangle. Okay, and if I click on the green rectangle, it allows me to move the placement of my slide within my model. Okay, I'm going to open my 2D view again, and you can see my slide here. Okay, and I can also click on it and move it like that within my 2D view if I want to. And the yellow on my 2D view allows me to rotate. Okay, so maybe I want it next to my house like this. Okay, so you can place as many different objects as you want from Artlantis in your file. Okay, that is not a problem at all. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete my slide. I don't want it, so I've got it over here, outdoor game, and I'm just going to hit minus, and it gets rid of it. Some things that I might want, though, in my cabin or around my cabin. Cabins are generally in the mountains, we assume. All right, so I've got some trees that I might add. Okay, so maybe I want a nice big tree here. Yeah, with some overhang onto the back porch. And then here in the tree, you can see we have lots more options. We still have rotate and position, okay, but you can change the height, the transparency, and you can, if you want to, choose the season. Okay, so it'll have more leaves. Okay, so it just looks different in different lights. Okay, so it's up to you guys. You can have a bit of a play, and if you want to, you can change the texture as well. All right, if I like this tree, I'm going to copy it and paste it. Whoops. Let's go back to our object. Sorry, I'm going to right click and duplicate, and it will come in on top of my other tree. All right, so you can see I've got some 2 trees going on here. I'm going to come back to my perspectives and just change the way I'm currently looking at my model, just to see if it's the kind of look that I really want. All right. And I'm going to come to this tree, and I think it just needs to be rotated around a little bit. Yep. And I could also put in some smaller flowers as well if I wanted to. Okay, on the ground. Not too big. All right, and I'm going to duplicate this a few times. So I've got a few different, some different plants. If you want specific plants, or anything like that, you can get them from SketchUp and pop them into here. and use them as an object. Create them as an object, okay, which we will go over in the next video very shortly. Okay, you can select, you hold shift down on your computer, you can select multiple things at once and then duplicate all at once. Okay, so you've got lots on top of each other and then you can select them and move them together. Alright, so you can see them on my screen starting to appear. If I come back to my perspectives, I can see what it's starting to look like. Alright, it's just making it look a touch more realistic as we go through. Alright, so that is your objects and the different options for them. Okay, remember that you will need people in your perspectives, as per all perspectives, okay, and rendered elevations. Okay, so there are people here that you can use, and I'll go through that a bit later on as well.